Good morning. I'd like to call the meeting to order. I'd like to begin by acknowledging that we're in Treaty 1 territory and the traditional homeland of the Métis Nation. My name is Lynn Nesbitt and I'll be chairing this meeting. My colleagues on the panel are Jeff Peich to my left and Brent McIntyre to my far left. Our recording secretary is Kelsey Harrison and our assessor today is Matthew Harlan. We'll be hearing applications for revision of the assessment roll in accordance with the Municipal Assessment Act. The matters for which revision is requested have been described in each application, and we will limit discussion to those matters. The statements that applicants or the assessor make at this hearing are sworn testimony, and anyone speaking to the matters must be sworn in. Be advised that comparisons of assessments of properties are not considered evidence of market value by the Board of Revision. The Board of Revision is appointed annually by Council and is independent of it and the City Administration. It makes its decisions on the basis of the evidence provided at this hearing and issues a written order that will be mailed to all parties as soon as possible. Please note that the Board's decisions with respect to an application may be appealed to the Manitoba Municipal Board if the matter pertains to assessed value or classification, or to the Court of Queen's Bench if the matter pertains to the application of exemptions from taxation. Should you wish to appeal, information on how to do so will be included with the Board's order. With respect to the hearing process, I will confirm the matters to be addressed with each applicant following the swearing in. We will then have the assessor's testimony followed by questions that the applicant may have, and then the applicant's testimony followed by questions. Each side will have an opportunity to summarize if they wish. Once all the evidence about an application has been brought forward, the applicant may leave. The process will repeat for each item on the docket today. The session will close after all the applications have been heard, and the Board will deliberate in private and make its decisions. You will receive the order by registered mail as soon as possible. As information, all public hearings are live streamed, recorded, and will be part of the public record. And if you have a cell phone with you, can you please make sure it's set to silent? Thank you.
You swear in or?
I swear.
Could you please state your name?
Matthew Russell Harlan.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you. Could you please state your name?
Marcelo Navarro.
And do you swear to tell the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Good morning, Mr. Navarro and Mr. Harling.
Morning.
The first item on our docket today is 481 Panet Road. When you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 19-5617. The address is 481 Panet Road. The business assessment ID is 66665. The total annual rental value for the 2020 year for the business assessment is $642,960. The total area of the premise is 42,837 square feet. And the overall ARV per square foot, including occupancy costs, is $15.01. If you look below in my brief, again you'll see the subject property. Premise ID for this particular property is 8622. The premise address is again 481 Panet Road. The premise area for the is 42,837 square feet. We are applying a model rent of $12.56 a square foot, which gives us a base rent of $538,033. And if you look to the right of my brief under occupancy costs, you'll see we have heat, electricity, water, and air conditioning, and you'll see we are assessing for the total area for each of these costs. So 42,837 square feet for the heat, electricity, water, and air conditioning. This gives us a total occupancy cost of $104,951. And when you add this together with the base ARV, you get the total annual rental value at $642,960. If you look below in the subject lease information, this particular property is not owner occupied. However, there's some common tenancy from what I found from the mailer. If you look further below that, you'll see some information regarding my rent comparables. My rent comparables, if you look, you'll see they range from the areas of 29,321 square feet up to 45,079 square feet. You'll see the lease start dates and the lease terms. The lease start dates fall within the reference period of the subject property. The rents range from $14 a square foot up to $18.29 a square foot. So you'll see that the rent we have applied, for the model rent we've applied at $12.56 a square foot, falls within the range of the comparables I have presented. And you'll just see some of the address of the premises, just to show how they're in relation to the subject. Some are close, some are further away. However, they were the best comps, the good comps I could find for this particular property. If you look in just page 2 of my brief, you'll just see a picture of the subject property, just a Google Street View, just on Panet Road, and you'll just see the property there in peach kind of color. That's where the actual building is for the particular premises situated. With that being said, that is my presentation, and I ask the board to confirm the value at $642,960. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hurley. Mr. Navarro, do you have any questions?
Yes, are you aware if the property was appealed to the municipal board?
Yes, I am. Yes, it is.
That's my question. Thank you.
Mr. McIntyre?
This is according to the docket, an industrial warehouse.
This particular property, it's an industrial, we have it pucked industrial, so but it's the retail portion.
Part of Princess Auto.
Yeah, Prince Auto, but it's like there's quite a few buildings on this particular property, so this is just the retail portion, so that's under appeal. So there is a storage warehouse portion, and this is the retail portion, so yeah.
So there's no storage in this
But
building,
this
other
particular,
than the retail?
yeah, exactly, other than the retail in the back with their storage, but yeah.
And all your rent comparisons are retail?
They are retail, yes.
So why wouldn't it be parcel use retail?
Well, we have 2 income streams on this particular property. We do have a retail and storage warehouse one, so like, sorry, maybe I just don't understand the question, I guess, like you're just.
Well, if it's all retail,
Mhm.
yet it's bearing an industrial warehouse property use code.
This would, I apologize, yeah, for this, for the particular premise, it's a retail, you're right, but then we have 2 premises on this, one for storage warehouse, one for retail. So the overall, I guess I understand the overall is pucked industrial, so the majority of the space is industrial, so that's why we're, using that.
Okay,
So.
thank you, that's my only question.
Yeah.
Mr. Pike?
I have that, thank you.
I do have a question. You mentioned that these comparables were the best you could find.
Well, these were, the closest to the, size of the subject property, and
Closest to size.
size and other attributes. I have actually other attributes for, like, wall height, age, those factors.
Okay, so on that basis, but location is not one of the,
No, yes, I agree, some of them are in St. James, however, these are very similar. I mean, I know St. James and Regent Avenue, they're very close, they're different areas, however, they're very similar in terms of they're both retail. St. James being a very unique area of the city, has many retail, has industrial, so I understand they're different areas, but they're very similar types of buildings, so.
all of these buildings are on major thoroughfares, St. James, Regent, Grant.
Yes, correct.
This is Panet Road, which is kind of off the beaten track a little bit.
A little bit, yeah.
I know it's close to Nairn.
Mhm.
I think it's Nairn there.
It is, yes, off there, I know
Yeah.
that.
So does that make a difference in terms of its rent?
I mean, it would have a little bit of bearing, I wouldn't disagree with that, yes, however, but again, I don't think, I feel like still, again, our rent we're using is not unreasonable, so.
No, it's the lowest
Yeah.
of all of them.
Exactly,
That's why
so, but-
that's why I'm wondering about the comparison.
Oh, I see what you're saying, yeah. No, yes, I don't dispute that there would be some factors in terms of like the location, so, but these were the best comparables I could find based on the size and the other attributes of the buildings, because it's a fairly new building, this particular building, that's why we use these comparables, so.
So you did look to age? You
Oh, yes,
looked
yeah,
at
age, wall height,
all
yeah,
those things.
both
They're not
factors.
reflected here, but.
Yes, I know, because there's not as much information, but I do have that information if you want, I could give you the information about all those
That's fine,
attributes of the
no,
building.
right. Okay, no, I'm fine, thank you. Mr. Navarro?
Actually, I'll just ask you to wait. I have evidence, but as the property has been appealed to the municipal board, I think the proper action is probably to just ask for confirmation.
You're requesting a
I'm
confirmation?
requesting confirmation, so I don't know if you need to see this evidence at this point.
Would you like to see the other?
No, I'm in agreement that we use, yeah.
Anybody? Do you have any questions of Mr. Navarro?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Anybody else? Any questions? Thank you. The next property is 1450 Angster Boulevard. When you're ready, Mr. Harmon.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 19-5693. The address is 1450 Angster Boulevard, and the business assessment ID is 21084. The 2020 total annual rental value for the business is $584,640. The total area of all the premises is 69,247 square feet. And the overall annual rental value per square foot, which includes the cost of occupancy, is $8.44. If you look below my property, you'll see the premise ID is 15009. Again, the address is 1450 Angster Boulevard. The premise area is 69,247 square feet. And we are applying a model rent of $6.29 a square foot, which gives us the base ARV of $435,564. Again, if you look to the right of my brief, you'll under the occupancy costs, you'll see that we are assessing the total area for heat, electricity, and water. However, for air conditioning, we only are assessing 8,745 square feet. This is due to the fact that only that portion of the area is air conditioning, so that's why we're only assessing that portion of the area for air conditioning. This gives us a total occupancy cost of $149,084. And if you add this into the total of the actual base rent, you'll get the total annual rental value of $584,640. If you look below, you'll see some, this is not owner-occupied property, and you'll see some information, some subject lease information. This particular lease here is at $6.53 a square foot. However, you'll see the reported area is at 129,979 square feet. This particular property has multiple premises, so this rent would be for the whole entire leasable area. So, but this particular premise that's under appeal is only for one building of the property. So, so it is lower, but we're just just to show the overall rent here that is in place for this property, and it is a long-term lease, as you can tell. So, and further below, if you look at my rent comparables, you'll see my comparables range from size of 47,473 square feet up to 57,500. So close to the subject properties area. You'll see my reported rents range from $6.13 a square foot up to $6.80. So my the model rent we have applied here is supported by my the rents. And if you look below too, you'll see that they are close to the subject property in Angster Boulevard. Notre Dame is not terribly far away. Sony Place and Hutchings is very close to the subject property. And if you look at page 2 again, there's just a picture of the subject property on Angster and Shepherd Street. So that is my presentation, and I ask the board to confirm the value of $584,640. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro, do you have any questions?
Same as the last question. Are you aware whether this was appealed to the municipal?
This is pending a municipal ordinance.
Thank you. That's my question.
Mr. McIntyre, do you have any questions?
So the lease start date was May 1997. Is there any step-up provisions in that lease?
I don't actually have the matter with me, but I can just double check here. I don't believe there is any step-ups that are reported, so that I have here.
That's a good deal then.
Yeah, I can't say, not bad at all, so.
No other questions.
Mr. Cook? I have a question about that reported rent.
Sure.
You said that was the overall rent for the entire 129,000?
Yes, there's again, this is just one premise, but there's multiple buildings on this particular property,
Okay.
so that's the entire leasable area of the property. So, but this is just the appeal is just the one property, yeah. So.
Okay. On the realty side, were there different rents for each of those premises?
There would be, yes, there would be, yeah. Then we would have an overall blended rent for the entire area, so yes.
Is this the overall blended rent, or is this the rent that was applied to this particular premise?
This is the rent that was tied to this particular premise. I apologize, I don't have, I think I do have the overall rent. I might have it here, actually.
No, that's okay. I
Okay.
just
Oh, sure,
just
yeah.
wasn't clear.
Oh, okay, sure, yeah, sorry.
So you've clarified
Yeah.
that for me. Thank you
You're
very
welcome.
much. Mr. Navarro, with your presentation.
Actually, we are requesting a confirmation of this one as well.
Mr. Harlan, any
Yep.
questions?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Do my colleagues have any questions?
No questions.
Thank you. Okay, 150 Watt Street. Mr. Harlan, whenever you're ready.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 19-5343. The address is 150 Wyatt Road, and the business assessment ID is 27127. The total annual rental value for the 2020 assessment is $577,920. We have a total area of all the premises at 71,839 square feet. And we have an overall ARV rent per square foot, including the occupancy cost, at $8.04. If you look below the subject property, you'll see there are two premises that we have on this particular property. So I'll go for the first one. Premise ID is 23885, and the property premise address is 150 Wyatt Road. And the particular premise area for this premise is 43,439 square feet. We're using $5.50 a square foot as a model rent for this particular property, which gives us a base rent of $238,914. If you look to the right of the occupancy costs, you'll see we are assessing total area for the heat, electricity, and water for this particular premise. However, we are only assessing 11,775 square feet for air conditioning, as that's the only area that is air conditioning for this particular building. Which gives us a total occupancy cost of $95,660 and a total annual rent value for this premise at $334,560. And if you look below at the premise ID 27101, same address at 150 White Road, this particular premise is at 28,400 square feet. Which gives us a base, 28,400 square feet. We are applying a model rent of $6.71 a square foot, which gives us the base ARV at $190,564. And if you look to the right again for the occupancy cost for this premise, we are assessing total area for the heat and electricity. However, for the water and air conditioning, we are not assessing any for that area for that, as I believe this is a warehouse, warehouse area which doesn't have any water or air conditioning, so we're just assessing for the heat and electricity, which gives us a total occupancy cost of 52,825 square feet and a total annual rental value at $243,360. So overall, between these two premises, again, the total area is 71,839 square feet, and we're using an annual rental value of $577,920. This particular property is owner occupied, and if you look below at my rent comparables, you'll see my rent comparables range from size of 30,004 square feet up to 58,000 square feet. My net rents range from $6 or $5.25 a square foot up to $8.49 a square foot. All the leases start within the reference period of the subject property, and you'll see the addresses are very close. We have properties on Hutchings, Bannister, Keewatin, Angster and Logan, so they are close to the subject property. And if you just look on page 2 of my brief, you'll just see again just a photo of the subject property where it's relation to on Angster and White Road. So. That is my presentation, and I ask the board to confirm the value of $577,920. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Harlan. Mr. Navarro, do you have any questions?
Are you aware if this has been appealed to the municipal board?
That is correct, it has been.
Thank you.
Mr. Putch, do you have any questions?
You noted it was owner occupied on the disclosures. Were you able to ascertain the actual rents, or are these model rents?
These are model rates, yes. There's, seeing as it's owner occupied, there would be no actual market rents, so that's why we're using a model, yes. So.
Okay, any other questions? Thank
Mr. McIntyre, do you have any questions?
Just one question, the first premise, 43,439. What's that being used for?
This particular one, I believe I have. Check here. This is, I believe, because this is a warehouse. I did write it down, but I'll be honest, I don't remember off the top of my head. I know it's an industrial use, because the overall parcel use is industrial warehouse. actually, I don't have the specific information of this, I mean, I know the business it's used for, but I can't, I don't know, I remember the exact use for this particular premise. So I know it's an industrial storage warehouse, so.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Did I have any questions? Mr. Navarro?
Are you aware?
Your presentation.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I'll ask for a confirmation as well on this property.
Mr. Harling, any questions?
No, I'm good, thank you.
Mr. Page? Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions.
Okay, thank you. Okay, 615 Kernahan Avenue. Yeah, when you're ready, Mr. Harling.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 19-5407. The address is 615 Ferdinand Avenue, and the business assistant ID is 37110. The 2020 total annual rental value for the business is $576,420. Before I continue with my brief, I do actually have a recommendation for this particular property. A verbal recommendation, I apologize, I don't have the workup, all the workups. My recommendation is based on adjusting the base rent we were using, because if you look below, you'll see we were using $6.25 a square foot. There's 3 premises on this property, and we're using $6.25 overall for all these areas. There was a realty hearing on this particular property, and I'm following through with the realty that there was a adjustment to the rent from $6.25 a square foot to $6 a square foot. So the initial annual rent value is $576,420. Adjusting the rent for this particular property with all the areas at $6, this will reduce the assessment, business assessment to $559,860.
559,860.
That is correct, 860, yes. So that's my recommendation based on the follow through of the LT, so.
Thank you. Mr. Navarro?
We will accept that.
Okay, thank you. Mr. McIntyre, do you have any questions
I have no
for the
questions.
recommendation? Mr. Page?
I have none, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, the final one on our docket is 1700 Church Avenue.
Thank you, Madam Chair. The file number is 19-5615. The address is 1700 Church Avenue, and the business assessment ID is 50842. The total annual rental value for the 2020 assessment year is $575,880. There is a total area of 63,705 square feet, and an overall ARV per square foot, including occupancy costs, is $9.04. If you look below the subject information, you'll see the premise ID is 11565. Again, the premise address is 1700 Church Avenue. The premise area is 63,705 square feet. We are applying a model rent of $6.59 a square foot, which gives us a base ARV of $419,816. If you look at the occupancy costs, you'll see we are assessing for heat, electricity, water, and air conditioning for the whole areas for all the occupancy costs, which gives us a total occupancy cost of $156,077. And including, when you add this with base ARV, again, you get the $575,880 for the total overall ARV. This particular property is owner occupied, so there are no actual market rents in place. Further below, if you look at my rent comparables, you'll see my rents comparables range from size of 30,000 for 4 square feet up to 57,500 square feet. You'll see the reported rents range from, or reported net rents range from $6.25 a square foot up to $8.49 a square foot. You'll see the subject lease terms as well as the lease start dates. And you'll see the premise areas. The premise addresses are close to the subject property, being on Angster and Hutchings and Keewaydin. They are close to the subject property. So I believe the model rent we have applied for this particular property is supported by the rents I have shown in my comparables. And just page 2 of my brief, you'll just see again, just a picture of the subject property and relation to on Church Avenue. So that is my presentation, and I ask the board confirm the value at $575,880. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Hurley. Mr. Navarro, do you have any questions?
Yes, the premise area that you have per 63,705 square feet, that is a blended rent for the 2 floors?
Oh, yes, okay. There's 2 stories. We only have 1 premise for this particular property,
Okay.
so in our system, so.
Okay. That's my question. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. McIntyre?
I have no questions.
Mr. Pike?
I have no questions.
Thank you, and I have no questions. Mr. Navarro, your presentation?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Starting with the front page, this is Post Media Network Incorporated, 1700 Church Avenue, roll number 50842. And on the first page, you can see again, this is 1700 Church. This is the home of the Winnipeg Sun. Again, this building was built in 1975 by Lakeview Properties. It is a combination warehouse and printing, obviously, and office area. It has a untypical office portion size for this type of property, and this location. This is typically an industrial park. In terms of office space, the office area consists of over 43% of the total area. On page 3, you can see the general location. It is just east of the corner of Church and Keewatin, along the railway spur line. And on page 5, you can see our analysis. We have a base rental value for the subject of $380,919. These are the rent comparables that we drew from. In terms of occupancy costs and the total ARV, you can see the calculation on page 6. We have a total ARV of $537.33, and we rounded that to $537,000. And that is what we are requesting. In the appendix, you can see some additional leases that we've also included. On the very last page, if you turn to it, flip up, we've also included some additional leases on there. And I am open for questions.
Thank you, Mr. Navarro. Mr. Harley, do you have any questions?
I actually do have no questions. Thank you.
No questions? Mr. McIntyre, do you have any questions?
Just one question, the second floor area, you've got a rate of 450 square foot.
Correct.
What is it used for?
It's office area, just general office area.
Is it low quality or typical?
Is it lower quality than the main floor area? I haven't been in the building. Typically, we assign a rate somewhat less than the main floor area for second floor areas. We're fairly consistent with that, but no, I haven't looked at the quality.
Okay, that's my only question.
Thank you. Mr. Pike, do you have any questions?
Well, actually, that was more or less the same question I had, but if I could just maybe ask you to expand a bit, so you've come up with a number of 450 for that second floor.
Correct.
You've indicated that you typically apply a lower rental rate.
Usually a rate of about half of what the main floor area is.
Do you have anything to support that 450 number?
I don't, no.
No other questions?
Thank you. And I'm also looking at your page 5 on the table. Under tenancy type, does the S refer to second floor?
No,
And
that is single
multiple?
tenancy.
What 0
That is, we don't know.
So, maybe the comp
It
isn't so
defaults-
good if you don't know.
It defaults
or
to 0.
Defaults to 0 if you're not really sure.
Yeah.
So, okay, and my question was the same as Mr. Peitsch's question on the second floor rent. You haven't brought anything that would support that, $450? Or other than it's your practice, or?
It is our practice to discount the second floor
Okay.
rents, yes.
And your comparables at the back, are they all main floor comparables?
They are, these are the city's comps, show
They're the same ones? No, different ones?
different
Okay.
ones. And again, they are typical for this type of property. Again, this type of property has an unusual super adequacy in terms of the office space. This is not typical for an industrial property in this area. Has, as I explained, a larger office footprint that you would normally see in an industrial building.
Is that larger office space, does that reflect in this case the nature of the business?
No, that is done specifically for the occupant. It is accounted for in their rent, we assume. This is not a realty appeal that we've handled, but as we were told, it is part of their rent. It doesn't add any additional value. It's still considered an industrial warehouse.
Okay, all right, thank you very much. All right, well, that concludes our hearing today. Thank you very much, Mr. Harling and Mr. Navarro, for your presentations.
Thank you.